guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be covering the pros and cons of group therapy. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. Okay, let's hop right into the video. So today we're going to be discussing the pros and cons to group therapy in a school-based setting. Now, I know a lot of times I get questions from parents about how their child will be seen when I'm working on speech and language services. And a lot of times in their mind, obviously individual therapy would be better because you have more time with them and you're working one-on-one. But that's not always the case, and I am here to explain the ins and outs of why. So there are a few cases where I would push for individualized therapy. It varies based on your child's specific needs, but for 99.9% of my caseload, I would integrate them into at least some form of group therapy. Very rarely do I have all of my kiddos' therapy sessions one-on-one individual. There may be a combination of individual and group therapy, but I try as hard as I can to incorporate them into some type of group setting, if at all possible. Con one of group therapy is that it is less individualized. Ultimately, that means that when I'm taking a student one-on-one, I'm solely focused on their goals and what they are working on. Whereas if I'm taking a group of multiple students, I obviously have to divide the therapy time in between each student's specific goals. So everybody gets to work on something that they need to work on during that session. Con number two of group therapy is that there is less time focused on one specific child. So again, like I was saying with individualized sessions, when I'm working one-on-one with a student, the entire time is focused on them, dedicated to their goals. So they're getting the entire duration of whatever that therapy session is. Whereas when I'm having multiple students in my group, I have to divide the amount of time that I'm spending with each student equally amongst all of them, so everybody gets to target what they need to target. Well, yes, these are two minor cons. I find that the pros of group therapy far outweigh them and even kind of negate these cons, if I'm being honest, and I'll explain why. So pro one of group therapy is that they are getting social interaction. And I like to have as much social interaction as possible during my therapy sessions amongst my therapy groups. A lot of the times I will have mixed ages and grades in my groups, so your child is not necessarily going to be just stuck with the kids in their class that they know and that they're familiar with. I'm expanding their environment and they are being introduced to students that are older than them, students that might be younger than them, students with different abilities, students that may have deficits in a different area, or students that may have abilities in a different area. So all of these factors are combining in my sessions to give your child the ultimate social experience. And I find this super important, especially in the younger grades with these little kiddos. I like to incorporate peer interactions as much as possible and kind of foster those relationships and early social language ideals. Pro number two of group therapy sessions is that they are learning pragmatic skills. And pragmatic skills are basically just those social rules for language, those conversational rules that we all start to learn growing up. And I'm sure we can all think of an adult that doesn't have the best social skills. And I want to do everything in my power to keep my kiddos from kind of being that person that is a little bit socially awkward or maybe doesn't have the best conversational skills. Even if your child doesn't have social deficits or you feel like they are super extroverted, they make friends easily, they don't have any issues with their socialization, I still like to include them into these groups because I find that this fosters just continued areas of communication abilities. They are working with students of all different levels of capability, and they are learning to adapt to those different situations and these different types of scenarios. And I find that is far more beneficial when spread across multiple sessions rather than if I was just taking them individually one-on-one and they were only getting social interaction through me. Pro number three of group therapy are those peer models and cues. So a lot of times, especially once the year gets underway and we kind of all know what we need to be working on and what our goals are, I will recruit the peers in the group to also help while we are working with specific students. So if I have a group of two, let's say, well, one student is saying their speech sounds, myself and the other student in the group will be there giving our thumbs up or our thumbs down on whether or not we think the student gave their best speech sounds. I love this because kids are so encouraging of each other. all of my groups are constantly each other's biggest cheerleaders. They love rooting each other on and really want to see their friends do the best that they can. So they are the first people to give them feedback on what maybe they could do better, what they did that was a positive, and all things that go along with that. Likewise, a lot of the times I will have students give me their speech sounds, say them to me, and take a turn, and then I will have them turn and say it to their peer in the group as well. So they are hearing not only feedback from myself, but as well as the other student. Also, the other benefit to these peer models is that if I have a student working on S and a student working on TH, I can have the S student say TH sounds that acts as a good model for my TH student, and I can have my TH student say S sounds to act as a good model for my S student. So they are getting auditory bombardment of all different levels, not only from myself, but also from the peers in their group. The fourth and final pro for group therapy that I have today is that ultimately it's just more fun. More fun for the kids, more motivating for them. They really like to work with their peers and have those friendships fostered throughout, the therapy sessions. A lot of times I will see them then interact with these students outside of speech therapy, maybe on the playground or on the bus or in the hallway. So they are getting these friendships that they ultimately might not have been introduced to had it not been for the group sessions. I also like this because they just like to play with each other rather than just play with myself. They just don't find me to be as much fun as I think I am. But I don't blame them. It's always more fun when there are more people in the group, especially for the types of activities that I tend to do during my therapy sessions. A lot of it is involved with turn taking and kind of conversational skills and just kind of working with each other, listening to each other's opinions and ideas and how other people see, the same situation maybe from a different perspective. So I try to foster all of that during my therapy sessions. And like I said, if there's not more than one kiddo to do it with, then they just have to listen to me. So there you have it. Those are my pros and my cons for group therapy sessions in the school. As you can tell, I am a huge proponent for group therapy sessions. I happen to love them. I think the kids react really well to them. I find that they're more motivated, they're more engaged, they're more willing to participate when they also have a buddy that makes it not so stressful. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Let me know if you have any questions down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.